You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
The options market can be a confusing place. Sorting through the daily avalanche of data, alerts, updates, articles, and analysis to find the most important information is an overwhelming prospect. But now you have help. Welcome to the Options News Rundown, the only program that breaks through the noise to bring you the most important news and information from the world of options. Every day, we bring you the top 5 option stories curated by the options experts at theoptionsinsider.com, the premier source for options information. The Options News Rundown is brought to you by Market Taker Mentoring, the leader in options trading education. Get trader education, daily trade ideas, and more with a free 1-week trial of Market Taker Mentoring's Live Advantage Group coaching class by visiting markettaker.com/insider. And now it's time to break through the noise. It's time for your Options News Rundown.
Good morning. Today is Monday, June 24th, 2019. This is your Options News Rundown. I'm Dan Passarelli. Our first story of the day is from investing.com. It's the top 5 things to know in the market on Monday. The first thing to know is oil rises as the U.S. prepares more sanctions on Iran. U.S. crude extended last week's rally as U.S.-Iranian tensions remained in sharp focus. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo warned that significant sanctions would be announced on Monday and said he would seek to build a global coalition to deal with Iran as he meets for talks with Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. Last week, President Donald Trump said he called off a military strike in response to Iran's shooting down an unmanned U.S. drone. The escalation of tensions sent West Texas Intermediate oil up around 10% on the week. U.S. crude oil futures gained 38 cents, or 0.7%, to $57.81 by 5:35 a.m. Eastern, although Brent oil was unchanged at $64.45. Data released by the CFTC on Friday showed that the balance of long speculative positions on crude rose for the first time in 8 weeks last week, suggesting that the selling pressure from speculative accounts is easing. Meanwhile, the number of drilling rigs in use in the U.S. remains steady, according to data from Baker Hughes. The second thing to know today is China confirms talks with Trump at the G20. Beijing confirmed that President Xi Jinping would travel to Japan on June 27th through 29th amid expectations that he will meet with Trump on the sidelines of a G20 summit that will be dominated by the trade dispute between the world's 2 largest economies. Chinese Vice Commerce Minister Wang Shouwen said Monday that trade negotiations were underway and insisted that sides should make compromises. Although Wang provided no specific details, Assistant Foreign Ministry Zhang Jun indicated that negotiators were making preparations for a meeting between Xi and Trump. The third thing to know is global stocks are mixed as markets weigh U.S.-Iranian tensions against trade hopes. Global stocks were mixed to start off the week as the standoff between the U.S. and Iran was weighed against hopes that Washington and Beijing may move closer to a trade understanding at the weekend. Wall Street was on track to recoup Friday's losses, with U.S. futures pointing to a higher pre-open. Elsewhere, European stocks were slightly lower as a profit warning from Daimler, and yet another drop in German business morale to its lowest level since 2014 dampened spirits. Asian shares ended slightly higher, supported by hopes for some type of progress in Sino-U.S. trade talks. The fourth thing to know is Bitcoin pulls back from a 15-month high above $11,000. A 2-week rally in Bitcoin managed to briefly push the largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization beyond $11,000 over the weekend. The digital coin has gained 40% in the space of 2 months, a frenzied run that has been likened to the craze that pushed it to all-time highs near 20,000 back in 2017. Some analysts credited Facebook's planned launch of the digital coin Libra as reviving interest in cryptocurrencies, pushing Bitcoin to a 15-month high, even though Libra is conceived as an asset backed by fiat currencies. The pivot by global central banks towards easier monetary policy may also have contributed to the rally by reducing the returns on fiat currencies. The Bitcoin rally has coincided with a rally in gold, which also prospers when world growth and interest rates fall. Gold futures tested a new 5-year high overnight and were at $1,410.45 a troy ounce by 5:35 a.m. And the fifth thing to know today is Turkish assets jump as Erdogan concedes defeat in Istanbul election. The Turkish lira, stocks, and bonds all jumped on Monday after the ruling party led by President Erdogan conceded defeat by the opposition in a rerun of elections for Istanbul's mayor. The government's concession eased concerns that it might use its power to stifle the democratic process, providing relief for Turkish assets which have fallen this year under strain from the government's unorthodox efforts to keep a looming balance of payments problem. Even as the political tensions cool off, investors will continue to keep a close eye on the dispute between Ankara and Washington over Turkey's proposed purchase of Russian S-400 defense systems. The U.S. has warned that the delivery expected next month would trigger economic sanctions. Erdogan and Trump are expected to meet at the G20 summit to discuss the issue. Our second story today comes by way of investing.com. Eldorado Resorts to buy Caesars Entertainment for about $8.5 billion. Eldorado Resorts, Inc. has agreed to buy Caesars Entertainment Corp. for about $8.5 billion in cash and stock as it looks to build scale to take on competition from larger companies such as Las Vegas Sands and Wynn Resorts. The deal comes more than 3 months after Caesars agreed to give billionaire investor Carl Icahn 3 board seats to his representatives and a say on the selection of its next chief executive officer. Icahn, who's been pressing for a sale of Caesars, held a 14.75% stake in the company as of March 31st. Reuters, citing people familiar with the matter, reported on Sunday that Eldorado had clinched a deal with Caesars. Eldorado's offer of $13.01 per share represents a premium of about 30% to Caesars' closing price on Friday. Shares of Caesars were up about 15% before the opening bell, while Eldorado was down 5%. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is news you can use for today, Monday, June 24th, 2019, your Options News Rundown. I'm Dan Passarelli, trade smart, and have a great week.
The Options News Rundown is brought to you by Market Taker Mentoring, the leader in options trading education. Get trader education, daily trade ideas, and more with a free 1-week trial of Market Taker Mentoring's Live Advantage Group coaching class by visiting markettaker.com/insider.
The preceding program was a production of the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions@theoptionsinsider.com.